Both Russia and Ukraine claim to have traded aerial attacks overnight. Moscow says it shot down 72 Ukrainian drones over its territory, while Kyiv said it intercepted 90 out of 174 Russian attack drones. Meanwhile, President Trump says he plans to speak with Russian leader Vladimir Putin tomorrow about ending the war. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who met with Putin in Moscow last week, told Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan that talks were moving in a positive direction.
I think it's a very positive sign that the two of them will be talking at some point. I think that's showing that there's positive momentum, that there's an inclination on the part of both countries, and by the way, this includes Ukraine as well, to get to a long-term, durable peace here.
CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams joins us now from Kyiv. Holly, you've been keeping us posted on the Ukrainian perspective as all of this pushes forward. I'm wondering how these direct talks between Trump and Putin are viewed in Ukraine.
Good morning, Errol. Well, President Trump said last night that in that planned phone conversation with Vladimir Putin on Tuesday, they'll be talking about land and power plants. Now, to give you some context for that, Russia currently occupies around 20% of Ukrainian territory, and that includes the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And fighting in that area has frequently sparked fears of a nuclear disaster during this war. Ukraine has already agreed to a 30-day ceasefire proposed by the US. And this country's President Vladimir Zelensky has repeatedly stressed that this country always wanted peace and never wanted a war. This war, in fact, was sparked by Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. Ukraine, though, clearly doesn't believe that Vladimir Putin is serious about negotiations. Zelensky accused Putin of using delaying tactics last week. That followed Vladimir Putin saying that he supported a 30-day ceasefire but had various conditions. And I think that Ukrainians in general at this point don't have very much trust for Vladimir Putin. Remember, he invaded this country in 2014, then he agreed to a ceasefire, and then he invaded again in 2022. On top of that, I think that some people in this country fear that President Trump may agree to ceasefire terms proposed by Vladimir Putin that are simply unacceptable to Ukraine. For instance, stopping the supply of US weapons that are critical to this country's defense.
And we remember President Zelensky in that blow-up Oval Office meeting saying to President Trump that Putin cannot be trusted because previous ceasefires he's not adhered to. Over the weekend, Ukraine's president took part in this virtual summit hosted by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who was happy to welcome him with open arms post that blow-up meeting. So what more can you tell us about this virtual meeting now?
So that summit brought together leaders of Ukraine's friends and allies, including many European countries, Australia and Canada, a so-called coalition of the willing, but it conspicuously did not include the US. Now, the US has supported Ukraine, a fledgling democracy, throughout this war. The US has committed over $100 billion in aid to Ukraine during this conflict. But since President Trump took office, at times, US support for Ukraine has seemed shaky. For instance, during that meeting at the White House that you just referred to, during which Zelensky was berated and accused of not being grateful enough. Following that, the US briefly suspended the delivery of military aid to Ukraine as well as intelligence sharing. And the Trump administration has ruled out support for Ukraine joining NATO or providing US peacekeepers in the event of a ceasefire. Now, in Europe in particular, they know that they're going to have to try and fill that void, perhaps with peacekeepers if there's a ceasefire, almost certainly in stumping up more money and weapons. But Europe is also frustrated that it's been cut out of these negotiations between the US and Russia. Look, I think the bottom line, Errol, is that in the last few weeks we have seen some dizzying and confusing American diplomacy. It's left some of America's closest allies reeling and coming to terms with this new reality.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much. Holly Williams joining us from Kyiv this morning.